Hi guys, welcome to Pathopal underscore Radhika and series on genes involved in neoplasia. So the gene which we are going to see today is about the BRAF gene. Okay. So for the past few days we have been discussing about so many tumor suppressor genes. So do you remember what are those tumor suppressor genes? We were discussing about P53 gene, P10 gene, RB gene and all those. So today we are going to discuss about a BRAF gene. Why is it called BRAF gene? It's because it's going to encode a protein called BRAF. That's why it's called a BRAF gene. And this gene is going to give the instructions to synthesize this particular protein which can be involved in proliferation of cells, right? So this is about the BRAF gene. You should remember. So it's a oncogene. So whatever genes we have discussed in the past, they are tumor suppressor gene. BRAF gene is a oncogene. So you can have BRAF mutations in a lot of tumors, right? So before going into tumors which have BRAF mutations, you should know one thing. So this particular pathway I've shown already when I was discussing about P10. So whenever you have growth factor sitting on the growth factor receptor, or in case of neoplasia, even without the growth factors, there will be excessive growth of the cells. So there will be numerous signaling pathways which ultimately result in the proliferation of cells. So you have this phosphatidylcholine inositol 3 kinase pathway, which is one of the signaling pathway. Like that, you have so many pathways. So BRAF is involved in a particular pathway called MAP kinase pathway, right? So it's involved in the MAP kinase pathway, right? This point you should remember. So this BRAF gene is involved in proliferation of cells. So it leads to uncontrolled proliferation of cells, thereby leading to neoplasia. So what is this BRAF mutation? So what's the mutation which is commonly seen? So we have BRAF V600E mutations. So what is that V, E and 600? So V is nothing but valine, E is nothing but glutamate. So amino acids are represented by certain alphabets, and 600 is the codon number where this mutation takes place. So in the codon 600 position, your valine is replaced by glutamate. So we call it as BRAF V600E mutations. So what you should remember is BRAF is an oncogene. It's involved in MAP kinase pathway, and the mutation which is seen in tumors, certain tumors, is BRAF valine to glutamate replacement at position codon 600, right? These are the 3 points to remember. Don't get confused with so many complex pathways. So easy to remember is whatever the pathways you have, it ultimately results in uncontrolled proliferation of cells leading to neoplasia. That's the bottom line. Okay. So what all tumors can have mutations? So this is a picture from Robbins and it's very important. So the tumors which harbor BRAF mutations. Of course, now they are discovering more and more tumors which can have BRAF mutations. But these are the ones you have to remember. So you have a skin tumor called melanoma. They can have BRAF mutation. Then papillary thyroid carcinoma, your colonic adenocarcinoma, your hairy cell leukemia. Very important. Your hairy cell leukemia can have BRAF mutations, and your Langerhans cell histiocytosis. So any points to remember about Langerhans cell histiocytosis? They have a grooved or a bean-shaped nuclei, and you can have a lot of eosinophils. See all these cells with orange granules. Those are eosinophils. Okay. So it can have lytic lesions in the bone. It can present like eczema. Okay. So this LCH also can have BRAF V602E mutations. So a whole spectrum from carcinoma, melanoma, and your hematological disorders can harbor BRAF mutations. So two carcinomas is your colonic adenocarcinoma and papillary thyroid carcinoma. Then you have melanoma. Pertaining to hematology, you have hairy cell leukemia and Langerhans cell histiocytosis, which can have BRAF mutation. So what's the point in knowing about all these mutations? Because you have some targeted therapy. Okay, so if you inhibit that BRAF by certain drugs you can control or you can treat certain cancers. So that's why you need to know about which cancers harbor these BRAF mutations. So can anyone tell a name of a drug which is a BRAF inhibitor? Anyone? So what drug can be used to inhibit BRAF? So you have many drugs, but certain drugs you have to remember. So what is that BRAF inhibitor which is used in the treatment of certain tumors which can harbor these mutations? So you have a drug called vemurafenib. Okay, vemurafenib. VEMURAFENIB. Okay, this is a drug, one of the drug which is a BRAF inhibitor, right? So it's a BRAF inhibitor. It can be used in the treatment of some melanomas. But remember, not all melanomas will have BRAF mutations. So those melanomas which don't have BRAF mutations, these are called wild type. That means they don't have mutations. So if you have mutation in BRAF, then only these BRAF inhibitors will act and the tumor will respond to some extent, right? So if you don't have mutations, it's called wild type. Or if there is mutation, we call it as a mutated BRAF. And drugs are effective only when you have mutation, otherwise it's of no use. So what is this called? We have a specific terminology used. So those tumors which harbor this BRAF mutation, they are going to respond to BRAF inhibitors. So this is called oncogene addiction. So what do you mean by oncogene addiction? So those tumors which have mutations will respond to BRAF or the particular inhibitor. If you have a wild type, they are not going to respond to the BRAF inhibitors. So this we call it as oncogene addition. So this is one terminology which is there in Robbins, right? So you have to remember the tumors which have BRAF mutations. So let me summarize the points about BRAF gene. It's going to encode a protein called BRAF. So it's called the BRAF gene. So it's an oncogene. So BRAF is an oncogene. So it's going to encode a protein called BRAF, which is going to stimulate or it's going to help in proliferation of cells through MAP kinase pathway. And we saw the tumors which harbor the BRAF mutations. So what are those tumors? So two carcinomas, your colonic adenocarcinoma and your papillary carcinoma of thyroid. Then you have melanoma. Then two hematological disorders, Langerhans cell histiocytosis and hairy cell leukemia. So you have other tumors, certain brain tumors like your papillary craniopharyngiomas can also have BRAF mutations. And what's the mutation which is seen? It's BRAF V600E, that's valent to glutamate mutations, and these are the tumors which have BRAF mutations. And you have BRAF inhibitors which can be used in the treatment of these tumors, and those tumors which have BRAF mutations will respond to BRAF inhibitors. Those tumors which don't have mutation, that is called wild type tumors, those tumors do not respond to BRAF inhibitors. So this is called oncogene addiction. So these are the few points which we have learnt about BRAF gene. So tomorrow we'll meet with another gene. Thank you so much.